Elon Musk discovers his high school janitor still working at 80. His next move stuns everyone. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur known for his relentless pursuit of innovation and his vision to colonize Mars, found himself face to face with a deeply emotional moment that would change the trajectory of not only one life, but many. The story began in Pretoria, South Africa, where Musk attended high school at Pretoria Boys High. While Musk's brilliance was evident even then, there was one unsung figure in the backdrop of his teenage years, a janitor named Mr. Walter Matthews. Mr. Matthews was not just any janitor, he was the silent backbone of the school. Known for his gentle demeanor and unwavering dedication, he had a kind word for every student and often stayed late into the night to ensure the school grounds were pristine. For Musk, who often stayed after hours tinkering with ideas or engrossed in books, Mr. Matthews was a familiar and reassuring presence. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop a comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Fast forward more than 4 decades. Musk, now the wealthiest man in the world and the mastermind behind Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink, found himself back in Pretoria for an exclusive event honoring the school's most notable alumni. The trip down memory lane had Musk revisiting classrooms and hallways he hadn't seen in decades. Yet what caught him off guard was seeing a frail, elderly man sweeping the school's courtyard with the same meticulous care he remembered. It was Mr. Matthews, now 80 years old. The sight stopped Musk in his tracks. Clad in a faded uniform, his hands calloused and back hunched, Mr. Matthews was still doing the job he had been doing when Musk was just a teenager. Musk couldn't believe his eyes. "Mr. Matthews?" he called out, his voice tinged with disbelief. The elderly man squinted for a moment, then a warm smile spread across his face. "Elon? Little Elon Musk?" he replied, chuckling. Despite the years, Mr. Matthews' memory hadn't failed him. Musk approached him, stunned and emotional. They talked, reminiscing about old times. Mr. Matthews shared how proud he was of Musk's achievements, but admitted that life hadn't been kind to him. He had spent his entire life working as a janitor to provide for his family, putting his own dreams on hold. Retirement was out of the question, as his modest pension barely covered his living expenses. "I don't mind working," he said with a tired smile. "It keeps me going." Musk was deeply affected. The thought of someone who had given so much to his school, someone who had quietly inspired him during his formative years, still toiling away in his old age, struck a chord. That night, Musk returned to his hotel, unable to shake the image of Mr. Matthews sweeping the courtyard. For all his achievements, Musk felt he had failed to truly make a difference in the life of someone who had touched his own. The next morning, Musk set a plan into motion. He discreetly contacted the school and learned more about Mr. Matthews' situation. What he discovered only deepened his resolve. Mr. Matthews had lost his wife a few years earlier, and with no immediate family to support him, he was left to fend for himself. A week later, Musk returned to the school with a surprise that would leave everyone speechless. As the students and staff gathered in the assembly hall for what they thought was a routine event, Musk took the stage. Standing beside him was Mr. Matthews, looking bewildered and slightly nervous. "Ladies and gentlemen," Musk began, "I want to introduce you to someone who has been a quiet hero of this school for decades. Mr. Matthews is not just a janitor. He's a symbol of hard work, dedication, and kindness. He played a significant role in my life, even if he didn't know it at the time. And now it's my turn to give back." Musk announced that he was setting up a $2 million retirement fund for Mr. Matthews, ensuring he would never have to work another day in his life. But that wasn't all. Musk also revealed plans to renovate Mr. Matthews' modest home and provide him with a full-time caregiver to support him in his later years. The crowd erupted into applause, some wiping away tears, as Mr. Matthews stood speechless, his eyes glistening with gratitude. Musk wasn't done. Inspired by Mr. Matthews' story, he announced the creation of a new initiative under the Musk Foundation, the Matthews Fund, dedicated to supporting retired school workers worldwide who had spent their lives shaping young minds behind the scenes. Every janitor, cafeteria worker and bus driver deserves dignity in their golden years, Musk declared. The story of Musk's gesture went viral, captivating the world. Social media buzzed with praise, and countless people shared their own stories of unsung heroes who had impacted their lives. Musk's actions reminded people that even the most powerful individuals owe their success, in part, to those who supported them along the way. As for Mr. Matthews, his life transformed overnight. No longer burdened by financial worries, he spent his days surrounded by friends and former students who came to visit him, inspired by his humility and resilience. He even became something of a local celebrity, often invited to speak at events about the importance of kindness and perseverance. Elon Musk, for all his ventures into the future, had reminded the world of a timeless truth. Sometimes, the most meaningful impact comes not from building rockets or designing electric cars, but from honoring the humanity of those who helped you along the way. The story of Mr. Matthews and Elon Musk didn't end with the grand announcement in the Assembly Hall. In fact, it was only the beginning of a bond that would ripple through communities worldwide and spark a movement that neither Musk nor Matthews could have foreseen. In the weeks following the announcement, Mr. Matthews became a symbol of hope and a reminder of the quiet strength of ordinary people. Journalists from all over the globe flocked to Pretoria to interview him, eager to hear his story. Initially overwhelmed by the sudden fame, Mr. Matthews soon embraced his new role as a voice for underappreciated workers. But Musk wasn't finished with his plans. A few months later, he invited Mr. Matthews to the United States, all expenses paid. The purpose? To unveil the first pilot project under the Matthews Fund, a state-of-the-art community center for retired school workers in Musk's hometown of Austin, Texas. The grand opening was attended by educators, custodians, and school staff from across the country. The facility wasn't just a retirement home. It was a vibrant space where retirees could learn new skills, pursue hobbies, and receive top-tier health care. Musk's vision was simple: to ensure that those who dedicated their lives to nurturing the next generation could spend their later years in comfort and dignity. Mr. Matthews, dressed in a tailored suit Musk had gifted him, stood beside the billionaire during the ribbon-cutting ceremony. "I never imagined I'd live to see a day like this," he said, his voice trembling. "All I ever wanted was to do my job well, to know that someone noticed. I don't have words for it." As the community center gained national attention, donations poured in from people inspired by Musk's initiative. Retirees who had been struggling to make ends meet were suddenly given access to resources, healthcare, and a sense of belonging. Stories began emerging of cafeteria workers learning to paint, bus drivers writing memoirs, and janitors like Mr. Matthews finding second chapters in their lives. Meanwhile, Musk and Matthews' unlikely friendship deepened. Musk would often call Mr. Matthews just to chat, asking for his advice or sharing updates about his latest projects. Despite the vast difference in their lives, the two shared a mutual respect that transcended wealth or status. One day, during a quiet dinner at Musk's sprawling Texas ranch, Mr. Matthews asked a question that had been on his mind for months. "Elon, why did you go out of your way to help me? There are so many others in the world who need help." Musk set down his fork and looked at the older man with sincerity. "Because you taught me something important, even if you didn't realize it. You showed me what it means to work hard without expecting recognition, to do the right thing simply because it's the right thing. I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for people like you." Touched, Mr. Matthews smiled. "Well, I guess we both learned something then. Life has a way of surprising you." But the surprises didn't stop there. Inspired by Musk's story, several other billionaires and business leaders began launching similar initiatives. Foundations were established to support workers in overlooked roles, scholarships were created for their children, and communities rallied to show appreciation for the unsung heroes in their midst. Back in Pretoria, Mr. Matthews' story had a particularly profound impact. His old school named a scholarship in his honor, ensuring that future generations of students would remember his legacy. The courtyard he had swept for decades was transformed into a lush garden with a plaque that read, "Asterisk in honor of Walter Matthews, who taught us that greatness begins with humility." As for Mr. Matthews, he spent the rest of his days in peace, enjoying the opportunities he never thought he'd have. He traveled to places he'd only dreamed of, met world leaders, and even gave a TED Talk about the power of perseverance. Through it all, he remained humble, often deflecting praise with a warm laugh. "I'm just a janitor," he'd say, "but sometimes even a janitor can make a difference." In his final years, Mr. Matthews continued to stay close to Musk, becoming something of a mentor to the billionaire. And when Mr. Matthews passed away quietly in his sleep at the age of 86, Musk honored him with a heartfelt message shared with the world. Walter Matthews was more than a janitor. He was a reminder that no one achieves greatness alone. His kindness, humility, and dedication inspired me, and I will carry his lessons with me forever. The legacy of Walter Matthews lived on, not just in the institutions and initiatives created in his name, but in the countless lives he touched. Proof that the quietest among us often leave the loudest echoes.